Honor just dropped the brand new Magic V5. It's slimmer, smarter, and more powerful than anything we've ever seen before. And yes, it's gunning straight for the Samsung Z Fold 7, but the question is this Honor V5 the best foldable you can buy right now? On the rear, you've got your camera housing, and it's a pretty chunky boy in this cylindrical format, and what you get is a 50 megapixel wide, 64 megapixel periscope telephoto, and a 50 megapixel ultrawide with two 20 megapixel sensors on the external and internal display. Now, as a quick comparison, mainly on those main lenses, the Fold 7 gets a 200 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and 10 megapixel photo. Now, before we show you some samples and some side-by-sides of the V5 versus the Fold 7, in our opinion, the Magic V5 is the more capable, more well-rounded, more balanced camera system that's closer to a flagship than the Fold 7. But let us know in the comment section your thoughts on that comparison between the V5 and the Fold 7. Honor's V5 is actually supported with 7 OS updates, and out of box you get Android 15 and Magic OS 9 as you'd expect. And to be fair, I think Honor have absolutely crushed it with this suite of AI features. It's possibly, I think, the best you can get out now in terms of versatility. And let's talk about some of those features. First off the bat, AI deepfake. Now, this is probably one that's hard to demonstrate, but it'll be super useful in the real world. Is if you are on a video call, whatever it may be, say for example with a customer service agent who's just called you, then you can be in a situation whereby it can be fraudulent. What the AI deepfake does, it will scan that person's image and be able to detect if it's real or not. Super useful in certain circumstances, of course, but very, very helpful if and when your privacy or security is compromised. And on the other side, you've got AI out painting. Yes, now what this does, it takes your standard image and allows you to fill it into a larger frame. So say for example, if you've got a 4:3 image, you can then go into edit in the AI tools, click AI out painting, and then you can use this to then expand that to a 16:9. And to be fair, it does a really, really good job. In fact, it's almost flawless in how it fills out that extra additional area, which is sick. AI cutout, you've probably seen this hundreds of times before, but effectively what you can do here, you can hold down on an image or a person, and then you can extract that into a sticker or an image on itself, like a PNG transparent image, or you can move those people around in a portrait to add a subject that's more in focus than anyone else, which is pretty cool. And then Honor AI, Honor OS 9 as a whole, to be fair, is super, super dynamic, very fast, very smooth, works incredibly well on the V5, no slowdown or jitters here in any way, shape or form, and transitioning between open and closing apps, multiple windows, for example, on the V5 looks sick and works flawlessly, all work very, very well. And of course, the Magic Pill as well, which allows you to access certain applications, things like Spotify, if you wanted to just jump in, forward, rewind, pause, back, forward on a track, skip or play, whatever it may be. So in terms of the AI functionality, it's great. And you also get the benefit of something that isn't on the Fold 7, and that's the use of a pen. Now, this does not magnetically attach to the actual phone itself, which is a bit of a shame, nor does it have a holder. It does have a fancy, cool little case, but this then can be used to annotate, draw, write on your V5, be it it's on the internal display only, just to quickly put that in there, internal display only, but it acts as an additional tool, for example, from productivity point of view, accessing spreadsheets, again, very, very good. And if you're just drawing, you can do that as well. So that extra addition of that pen is an added incentive over the Fold 7. So when the V5 launched and they said, this is the thinnest foldable in the world, and then there was loads of controversy about it, I'm just gonna be honest, could not care less. But for the purpose of this video and just to calm the masses, we have weighed and measured the V5 in terms of its thinness, open and closed, and its weight on a scale. But the more important components you want to look at are its displays. Front display here, you get a 6.43-inch 120Hz 5000 nits of peak brightness, and then on the internal it's 7.9-inch display with 120Hz 5000 nits of peak brightness. So when you're watching back content on here, oh lordy lord, it looks absolutely great. So blacks are inky black, and then any sort of colors pop, look rich in detail, really contrast, excellent quality. Like the OLED panels on front and rear are exactly the same. There is no difference, internal and external I should say, are no different at all, and they look absolutely incredible. Now in terms of the build, let's quickly talk about that. This is slightly different than the Fold 7 in that it isn't as thin and longer, but this is more of a book style, so holding it in hand feels super comfortable and nicer to just get around, to be honest. Feels more like your normal slab style phone, which is super important and an easy migration. One little weird quirk I want to talk about is more prominent on the V5 than it is on the Fold 7, having used the Fold 7 for a little while, is this hinge caption here. It actually sits quite a lot higher than the Fold 7. So when you go to swipe up from the middle, you're constantly catching the top of it. So you have to go slightly right or slightly left to be able to catch your multiple window. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, it becomes kind of prominent almost. So just a word of warning that in terms of design, that's one of the things. Overall though, it is super slim, light, looks really great in this white dawn color, I believe, with the gold accent. Camera housing, all looks very cool. And the build quality is on parallel with the Fold 7. Well, yes, because it's powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite. This spec actually gets you 16GB RAM, 512GB of storage out of box. So top level, and again, as a comparison to Fold 7, which would make it some very small comparisons here, it offers more bang for the buck right out the bat. What I would say is when you are testing this under extreme test circumstances, things like 3D Mark's Wildlife Extreme Test, this is a 20-minute cycle test of the same thing over and over, which will test CPU, GPU, thermals, and battery. Let's talk about some of the results here. So in terms of thermals, the temperature jumps from 38 degrees to 50 degrees, which is quite significant. And then battery consumption is around about 10%. Now, those figures may be scary on the offset, but that test itself is extremely strenuous and is meant to exhaust the phone and push it to its absolute maximum levels. On the day-to-day though, when you're using this, you're not going to see any of those heat or temperature levels, just to put it out there, and actually does a really good job of managing its thermals, which we'll talk about in just a second. In terms of battery, let's talk about that. 5,820 milliamp hour battery, silicon carbon with 66 watts of wired speed and 50 watts of wireless speeds. So this demolishes the Fold 7 in terms of both of those metrics, in terms of battery tech and of course in terms of charging speeds. And as we mentioned in reference to earlier, in extreme circumstances, it's still only using 10%. But when we've gamed on this particular phone, on games like Genshin Impact on that 7.95-inch display, not only does it look stunning, it runs butter smooth. No issues at all when you drop frame rates or anything at all. If you are after the best possible foldable experience right now, at what is available, not what's rumored, then this is a slam dunk buy for a whole host of reasons. We'll start at the rear. The cameras are amazing. The build quality is super premium. The displays, internal and external, are again excellent, and you're getting top level performance through that Snapdragon 8 Elite, and then it'll recharge really well, and battery again is really good. The only two downsides I would say is the crease on the internal display is slightly more prominent than what you get in the Fold 7, and then to achieve those charging speeds, you're gonna need to buy the plug because it doesn't come in the box. In the real world terms, those two are very minor things. In its totality, I would say the V5 is the best foldable phone you can buy right now. It sits cheaper and offers more than the Fold 7 in terms of spec and value for money. So the Fold 7 is probably going to be on watch because the Honor V5 is the best foldable to buy right now in 2025. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section below on foldables in general and the Fold 7 versus the V5. What would you buy with your hard-earned cash? Let us know in the comment section, and be sure to like and subscribe as well. Until the next one, we out.